folks, welcome back. This is Joel, and in this video we'll actually explore SD-WAN security. All right. So for this lab, I really don't need all my VHs, so I just have turned it off. I just have enabled just a couple of them, which are those. We just have the let me grab my pen. So we just have the BR3 running and we have the R1 running. Right. I'll tell you why we need R1 later, but all our testing majorly will be doing it from BR3, right? And I've also turned off this particular transport. All we have is basically the internet. So basically the traffic is basically going to flow in this direction, right? So the traffic is going to be generated from endpoint here, which is sitting here a Windows machine. It will hit the branch, and from that it will use the internet transport, and from that it will go out to the internet, right? So that's what we have. Now to do that, or to make it possible, before we even get to the security side of things, we need to enable NAT, right? And you can go back to my playlist and you can see how to enable NAT, but I will again, to jog your memory, I will do it. There are multiple ways to do NAT, but in this one we will just do it in a straightforward way, right? We'll just put but before that, right, to just talk about what structure of network we have here, we have what? We have the VPN 0, and then we also have another VPN 10, right? This is your transport side VPN, this is your service side VPN, right? For the NAT, to make NAT to work, that is when the traffic coming from the VPN 10, when it has to exit, right? When it has to do what we call as direct internet access, right? So when it has to do DIA, we need to enable NAT in such a way that the traffic from the VPN 10, right, should get NATed to this particular VPN, that is VPN 0. Correct. So that is one way of doing that, and we'll have to put a static route from VPN 10 so that all the traffic will exit out of VPN 0, and all your translation tables, everything will be visible on this router. So that's what we are going to do to start with, but there are multiple ways to enable NAT. You can also do it using policies, but this is a very typical simpler way, so we'll do with that, right? So we'll start by enabling NAT. Nothing about security yet. Hold on tight. We'll just quickly finish this task and then we can start with the actual security stuff. Alright, so I've logged into my vManage now, right? You see the devices showing up here. You can see the two devices here, right? So R1 and BR3. The control connections show up as partial. The reason being, the other transport is down, right? The MPLS transport is down. So as a result, you can see the control connections are showing us partial, but that's fine for us. That should be good. Let's start by what do we do first? Let's go with enabling NAT, like I said, right? So we'll go to templates. And I've already created a template, but let me just show you how it looks, right? So I'm going to search for the NAT template. There we go. This is my NAT template. It's nothing but my VPN 0 interface, right? On the CSR 1000V. So let me just show you how it looks. All you have to do is you have to go to it's a normal VPN 0 template, right? I mean interface VPN 0, my bad. We have done this multiple number of times in the series. All you have to do for enabling NAT is go to the NAT section, right? You have to turn on NAT in this way. This view might be slightly different if you're doing it on a VH, but again, the VH doesn't have the same set of security features as the CSR 1000V, right? So that's why we are doing this lab with CSR. So with CSR, this is the view which you get for NAT. Just enable NAT here, keep everything to default, right? That should take care of it. I think it will basically, when you select interface here, it will basically do a overload, right? A pat kind of a NAT, right? But that's it. You just need to enable this. Now once that is done, let's go to our device template. Device template, that's here. Let's go to BR3, right? Before that, let me actually show you the device, BR3. Where is BR3 here, right? So let's get into this device, right? All right, so let's probably see if we have any NAT settings already. Show run, include NAT. Okay, see there is nothing much. This is pretty much irrelevant, so there's nothing much with NAT yet. And let's also look at show IP route, probably the VPN 10, right? Oh, sorry. We gotta do VRF10 on this one, right? So this is what we have. Okay, cool. Or actually, let's do just show IP route, right? Let's keep all of these details with us. Now, enabling NAT is we also need a static route, correct? So let's go into the feature template and let's see where we will have to see this. We will have to add the static route into the service VPN, which is VPN 10 in our case. It might be different in your case. So I'm going to get into the VPN 10 template and I'm going to say edit. I might have already added it, in which case I'll just show it to you guys, otherwise we'll add it. Okay, so let's go to the IPv4 route. There you go. And this is the route, right? So I've already added. You can see, let me click on the pencil mark here. I have kept this device specific because if you select it to global, then the mark as optional will not be available to you, right? So yeah, but depending on your use case, you can change this template however you want. But this is my template. I just need a static route and I'll be providing this value in the template variables. And you can see the gateway, you have to put VPN, right? And you have to enable VPN. So by doing this, what we'll end up doing is all the traffic from VPN 10 will now be NATed to the VPN 0, right? So this is the static route. So I'm going to do cancel here, come back to my device templates, because what is left is we need to go to VR3, edit this guy. So those are the 2 steps, right, for enabling NAT. Now that we know that, let's come to the VPN 0. So this was the VPN 0 internet interface. We are going to swap that with the NAT interface, which we just have had a look, right? It's going to, both the interfaces are same, except this, the latter one or this one is basically enabled for NAT. I'm just going to hit the update button. It's probably going to ask me for values. Let's see if it has everything. Yes. So this is that variable, or this is that device specific variable which I just now showed you inside the NAT template. It's basically nothing but the default route, right? So yeah, this is the default route, which is basically pumping all the traffic from VPN 10 to VPN 0, and that's how it gets NATed out of your branch. So I'm going to hit the update here, go next, configure device. Okay, so let's wait for a couple of seconds for this to finish. All right, that has completed, and we can now go and explore. In fact, let's come to our device. Let's see the change, right? So you can see some configuration has been pushed. Let's do show IP route, right? No much change here. It's almost the same. Let's look at show IP route VRF10, and you see you have a small difference, don't you? When you compare this with show IP route VRF10 from the earlier, right? So you did not have the NAT indicated here. You just had a M star, right? Just the OMP routes. But here you see the latest output. I can see there's a small N star, right? So that's basically sending all the traffic all the way to VPN 0. We can also validate. We can probably generate some traffic from the Windows machine, from the client, right? Which Windows machine? The one which is sitting here, right? This guy, the one at the bottom. So I'm going to generate some traffic and we can look at the translations maybe. So let's get to the CMD and let's do ping, I don't know, maybe 8.8.8. Let's ping the Google server. There you go, Google DNS. There is connectivity. Let's now have a look at the, on the device I can do show IP NAT translations, correct? And there you go, right? So we have the connectivity. Perfect. Are we good with that? And you can probably, if you want to generate some web traffic, you can probably do that as well. Ping google.com maybe. I mean, that's also actually ICMP, but let's probably open the browser and probably open up something. Give me a second. All right, my browser was updating for some reason. Anyway, I just opened a couple of social media websites. I just opened Facebook, Twitter, and I also opened a website called Casino for people who gamble. They might be using this application. So I just opened a couple of these applications because we'll use this later for our test cases. So I've opened these applications, and now if you again go back to my router and if you just do show IP NAT translations, you can see there are quite a number of translations because that's what's happening, right? So we have enabled NAT and the NAT is working fine. Perfect. I think till now we are good. The very next step is what? To actually go about and try our use cases. Okay. So coming to the security side of things. All right. So one last thing we do before we start writing the policy is, let me show you this, right? So we are on which box? We are on the site 103, right? So this one, the one on the right hand bottom corner. I just want to show you that from this PC which is sitting here, as of now we are able to do a telnet and SSH into this particular switch, right? So this particular switch, we are able to do a telnet and SSH, and let me show you that, because I want to show you like the what is the current situation, and then after putting the policy what it is going to be. So it's 172.16.0.10. okay, so I'm gonna just do a telnet. There you go, it's asking me for password, username, and I'm gonna say Cisco. There you go, right? So it's working. Perfect. So telnet is working. Similarly, SSH should work as well, I think. Let me check that. So that's SSH. Yes, see, it's asking Cisco and Cisco. Alright, so that's good. So I just want to show you that this is the current status. So for our first use case, right, what we'll do is, or actually let's get to the use case, right? So we'll probably explore the security policies maybe in 2 steps, right? In step number 1, we'll probably deploy a couple of policies, we'll explore it, and then we'll do subsequent ones. So let's come to the vManage. Let me log in. Alright, so I've logged into my vManage. What we'll do is let's get to, so for security, right, you have a separate section. Where do we have it? Over here, right? Below the policies, you have something called as security. So we need to get to that. So we don't have any policies as of now. So let's go ahead and add something, right? So in this particular policy, so before we talk about what is this, right? You might see a box with a bunch of things. Now this is actually nothing but the different use cases which you can do with the SD-WAN security, right? If your use case is to just do some kind of compliance, then you can, go with this particular use case, and you will have the subsequent, these are the features which will be available to you, right? You will have like a enterprise firewall, which is application firewall, then you'll have IPS, you'll have SSL and TLS and SSL decryption. So similarly, different use cases have different features. We can probably go directly for DIA, because whatever we want to explore, everything is, this is like the master, or this is like the umbrella of everything, right? It has literally all the features which are needed, right? Which you will ever use. So we could probably go with this. Let's go with that. Or if you just want to enable one single use case, then you can also go to custom. Maybe we will do that in future, right? For now, let's go to this, and out of all these features in our first run, what we'll do is we'll explore application firewall, and probably we will also explore maybe like URL filtering, right? The rest we will do later. So let's proceed. So I've created now application firewall. Yes, I want some kind of application firewall. What's our simplest use case? I just showed you that I was able to telnet and SSH into my inside my VPN 10, right? From this Windows machine, I was able to telnet into this switch, which is also actually in the VPN 10 network, right? So our first use case will be to prevent telnet, allow SSH and rest of the stuff, but to prevent telnet, right? So to do that, what do we do? So we are here. Let's add a new policy, create new, right? So we are going to create a policy, and here you see you have a very graphical, nice way of doing things. So let's first give a name, right? So this is going to be just the firewall policy. I'm going to just call it as firewall. Or let me be a bit descriptive. I'm going to say firewall underscore policy. Great. Okay, now let's apply what zone, right? So this is typically nothing but your zone based firewall, right? The ZBF, which you might have explored already on Cisco routers, right? This is basically that, but it also has application functionality, right? So it also can act as application firewall. So in the source zone, we need to create a zone list, right? So it's nothing but you can click on new zone list, and you can provide a name, and you can just provide the list of VPNs you want to apply this particular policy for, right? In my case, I think I already created one thing called as zone list. I'm going to select that, and inside that zone list, you can see I just have the VPN 10, right? So I'm going to select that guy. And the destination, what is going to be the destination? For me, the source and destination both is VPN 10, correct? Because I am trying to do telnet from what? From the PC to the switch, both are in VPN 10, right? So this is also in VPN 10 of your SD-WAN cloud, right? In the whole SD-WAN setup, this is all, the switch 2 is also in VPN 10, the PC is also in VPN 10. So I want to do some kind of firewalling when traffic is going from VPN 10 to VPN 10. Great, I'm going to save that. Right, so once you're done, once you've decided that, what you should do next is you need to add a rule. So I'm going to add a rule, and what is the rule going to be? I want to deny telnet. That's my rule. All right, cool. So what is the source data prefix, right? So for source data prefix, again, I have already created one. It's pretty simpler, like how we do object groups in Firepower, right? If the group doesn't exist, you can create one on the fly. You can just give it a name, and you can provide the subnet here, right? In my case, I've already created one, so I'm going to use that, which is 172.17.3.0. So that's my BR3, the subnet of the PC, right? The subnet where the PC lies. This is the VPN 10 or the VLAN 10 from the diagram. So I'm going to select that. Okay, no worries till here, and so that's the source prefix, right? Let's go and save that. The source port is of no concern to me, because when you do a telnet, you really can't control what source port, so I'm going to keep it as any. Destination prefix, right? For destination prefix, again, you can do the same thing. You can just add a prefix, or you can manually provide the IP address also. So I'll go with this approach for this guy, and it will be 172.16.0.10, right? I believe you have to provide the subnet, so it's /32, right? So that's the loopback of the switch 2. Right, there are two. I mean, if you want to do it on the fly, then you can provide the IP address directly, or you can create a list like I showed you earlier, right? Anyway, so we have provided that information, source, destination, and what else is needed? We also need the port, correct? Because telnet works on which port? 23. So let's provide that. So we have the port also, and what else do we need? I think that should be it, right? If you want, you can probably also provide the protocol information like 6 or something, because for TCP, right? Further, you can see there is also a list of applications which you can add, right? So you can add a specific application. You can create a application list. You can see here there are quite a number of applications here. You can even select an application and kind of do application level filtering as well. For now, for our use case, let's stick to something simpler, which is just denying telnet. Okay, so I'm gonna go and hit the save here. Right, so that should be it. So we have we are good with this policy. Let's go and hit the save. Is there some field which I've missed? Okay, description. Let's add the same thing again here. All right, so save firewall policy. Great. Let's go next. Let's not add intrusion prevention policy yet. We'll do it probably later. Let's just do URL, which is the next. See, you see on the top here, these are the various policies which are possible. You have firewall, IPS, URL filtering, AMP, DNS security, which is umbrella, and then you have proxy, right? So let's go next, because we are going to add URL filtering. Come to the URL filtering, let's say add new, create new, whatever. And we already saw that we are able to access, we are able to access Facebook and Twitter, correct? So here you can see we are able to access Facebook and Twitter. So we are able to, what we'll do right now is we'll create a URL filtering policy which will prevent access to social media websites. Okay, let's do that. So same thing here. I'm going to go and select target VPN. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide the VPNs which are going to be 0 and 10, because you know the NAT happens in in the VPN 0. So let's provide both, right? 0 and 10. Let's put the save. So we have the two VPNs here. And what is the policy name going to be? So the policy name can be anything. Let's give it called as URL policy maybe, so that it's evident what we are trying to do. Categories, what do you want to block, right? That's what we have to mention there. There is no description. Great. Okay, so in the category section, let's actually add give me a second. Yeah, so in the category section we are obviously going to block. That's correct. Now what categories we want to block? So there are quite a lot of categories. You can see adult and pornography, alcohol, cheating, dating. Okay, there are quite a lot of categories. We'll basically search for, say, social network. Great. And maybe let's also block sports. Maybe let's say we want to block sports, so let's select that, right? So these are the two categories which we will block. Okay, the rest we can leave it as is, but this is nothing but straightforward, right? If you, out of these categories, you want to allow certain things, you can provide the list here as a whitelist, right? Similarly, if you have changed this to allow and then you want to block certain things, you can provide the block list, right? So these are just like your bypass filters. You can keep a block page, and we are going to keep all of that constant, right? Let's keep it as is. Reputation, so let's actually probably enable everything. So this is basically the alerts which you're going to get in your vManage console. So let's enable all of those. And that being said, we're all good with that. So let's go and save this. So we have the URL policy also in place. The only next thing we got to do is let's go next. And yeah, we are not going to put AMP yet. Let's go next. No DNS yet. TLS also, let's skip. Go next. Okay, so this is what you get. So I'm going to say security at what, DR3, right? So I'm going to call that this is the master policy, right? So this is the master policy, and it will have all the other policies which we just now set up as components, right? So I'm going to select that. Let's keep all of this default, I guess. Nothing. Yeah, I think let's keep all of this default. Let's not do anything yet. I want to show you something interesting, but I'll show you that later. So let's keep this default. I'm going to probably hit the preview. So this is the configurations which get pushed. We have just done what? We have just done firewall, which is zone-based firewall, and we have also done the web, the sports and the social network. So you see only those configurations are visible here. So I'm going to hit the save policy here. Now, before we attach this policy to any device, right, I just want to call out one important piece which you will have to do, which is what? So software management. So basically, let's open the documentation here. Do I have the documentation ready? Give me a second. Let me pull up the right documentation. All right, so I've opened the documentation. One thing which I want to call out is in SD-WAN, right? The security is actually implemented using a firewall, right? A very typical, application-aware firewall, and that firewall actually works as a container, right, on the switch or on the router, right, on the edge router. So how do you get this firewall? Is it already packaged as part of the software? No. So it's not part of CSR 1000V. You need to explicitly upload this firewall, and you need to basically upload it to vManage and download it and install it on your CSR 1000V, right? So this is the section which talks about that. It's called security virtual image. Now what is this image? So I'll take you through the process, don't worry, right? So what you really need to do is obviously read this for your understanding, but basically what you need to do is go to your software download, right, where you download your images from Cisco website. Come to your section which is, in my case it is CSR 1000V, right, and the release which I'm running is the latest release, which is 17.3.4a, right? So that's the release. So come to that release. In fact, let's go one step back, right? So this is what you get when you come to this particular page. Normally you would click on iOS XE software and you would basically go and download 17.3.4a if you want. See, that's the latest release. So that's the one you would go to and you would download. But to get this security image, what you need to do is probably come back one step and see there's basically this section, right? There's Snort IPS engine. So this is basically, right, United Threat Defense Firewall it is. So this is the firewall, or this is the image which you need to run on the CSR 1000, right? The subscriber signature package, this is basically the Snort rules, right? And all those, basically the rules, right? The Snort rules, the latest Snort rules which you really need to have for the Snort firewall to work. But this one you can actually download it from vManage, and I'll show you where you can do that. From here you'll just need this particular image, the last second one, right, the IPS engine. So you get into that and find your release. Don't download the wrong ones. Get to 17.3.4a if you're running that, and see this is the second image, right, sec app utd, right? So this is the one which you need to download. It's hardly 52 MB. So once you download it to your local system, you can go to your vManage and go to probably software repository right here under maintenance, and see there is a section for virtual images, right? You just need to come and upload here, right? So you need to come and upload, select vManage here, and just drag and drop the image and it gets uploaded. So you see, in my case, I've already done it. It's basically a container, which it's going to run as a container on the switch. That's it. So this is the image. So think of this guy is actually the brain behind all the firewalling or all the security which happens on the edge or on the security space, right? If you don't upload this and if you still try to attach a device to the template, then if you try to attach the security policy to the template, then you'll get an error. So make sure that you have uploaded this. Now once you have done that, you can peacefully come to your templates, come to your device, which is BR3, edit. Let's keep an eye on for our console, what's happening on the console. So where is BR3? This one. Let's log in because there's something interesting which you'll get to see as you, right? So we are gonna log in and that's the console, so we can see some logs as the vManage pushes certain things, right? So I'm going to come here and come to the additional template section, and there's a section for security policy. So we're gonna go and select this guy. So this security policy right now has two important sub policies under it. One is the firewall, another one is the URL filtering. You can keep this default, the UTD template. If you want, you can change it, but for now I'm going to keep it default. Update. I don't think there is any values I need to provide, right? So we are good. We have just attached the policy. So I'm going to say next. And you can also look at what is going to push. Let's have a look at that. So we are going to do a config preview. Probably let's do a config diff. In fact, let's do a side-by-side diff. And if I scroll down, you should probably see certain things which vManage is going to push. Right, there you go. Certain access lists which are needed for the firewalling. You can see the object group part has gone in, and you have this is the NAT configuration which has already gone in earlier. It's not going to get pushed now. I forgot to show it earlier, but that's the NAT configuration. It's basically nothing but, so when I say traffic from VPN 10 is going to VPN 0, it basically does that using VRF leaking, right? Cool. So you can see a little bit of firewall policies here using policy maps, and then you have a certain configuration which is needed for that container to run, right? The firewall container, the UTD, right? So all of that happens, and then there is little more of policy configuration. This is something to do with the zone based firewall, right? You have so IOX is basically app hosting, Cisco app hosting. All of this configuration is relating to that. This is what enables to run a container on Cisco platforms. You can see a little bit information about the UTD firewall, right? So certain configurations for that and a bunch of policies and so on. So you can have a look at the configurations. They're pretty straightforward. If you look at them, you'll get it. That being said, let's go and hit on configure devices. So now this is going to say it is scheduled. It won't immediately push it. Why? I think I've told you the answer already, right? We need the container. So for the next few minutes, the device will say that it will, or the device will try to, or vManage will try to install the container on the BR3. And once the container is installed, only then the configurations which we just now did will be pushed. So let's look at that, right? So there you go. vManage is logged in, and it will now start doing certain things. I'll pause the video and come back once it has finished the installation. Alright, so it has installed, and you see basically a bunch of things, a lot of things on your console. But basically what it is doing is, you can see a bit of app hosting happening, right? So it has basically installed that UTD firewall, right, on the box, and that's what you see. So you can also look at that firewall using the command show app hosting list, right, and it would show you that particular firewall. There you go, UTD running. And yeah, if you basically go through this logs a little more when you have time, you could basically see what is happening, right? That basically said, what we'll do is our first test. What is our first test? We want to make sure that we should not be able to do telnet now, correct? So to do that, let's go back to my Windows machine here, right? Let's open PuTTY. So we were at the start of this video, we were able to do telnet. So 172.16.0.10, right? So I'm going to select telnet now and open. Right? So you see, we are no longer getting the username, password, or we are not getting any any prompt for us to do anything, right? Because it is getting blocked, right? So we can close that. Let's close that. All right, so we have a couple of commands which we can look at. Let's get on to the box, and probably let's look at show platform, the hardware drops, right? QFP, I think it's active firewall, active feature firewall, I think feature firewall drops, right? There you go. Because of the policy, you can see there have been 5 packets which have been dropped, right? You can also probably look at certain other commands. Probably let me just paste this from my notes. I have one more here. Show SD-WAN zone-based firewall drop statistics, and it is going to show you 5 again. A bit more of a detailed command would be just zone pair statistics, which is going to give a little more detailed command about what is happening, all the packets getting dropped and so on, right? You can explore that when you are playing around. Let's check if so telnet is dropping, but let's check if SSH is going through. See, 172.16.0.10, and SSH is also not going through, right? And I wanted to do this deliberate mistake so that I show you guys, because this is something which I did a couple of times while I was playing around. Is let me show you that, right? So if you go back to our vManage, and if you go to our policy, which is security, right? Let's get to the firewall policy. Let's click on edit. Let's get to the firewall policy, and in the firewall policy, you see there is a section called okay, so let's get into the edit. So here, see, what we have done is we have done a deny, right? But we haven't added, so you see the default action is drop, correct? So because the default action is drop, I can either change the default action to pass, or what I can do is I can probably add another rule, right? I'm gonna say permit all, right? So that's going to be a permit all rule, and the action is going to be pass, and I can keep all of this to be, I can in fact log it. In fact, I don't think I've enabled the logging on this. So let's enable log on this as well. There you go. Save. And see, that rule was missing, right? So I'm going to save this time. As soon as you save it, it gets activated on the devices because the policy is already attached. I'm going to say next, configure, right? So let's wait for a couple of seconds. All right, so it has been pushed. So now let's come back to our machine and let's do a SSH, which is 172.16.0.10, and let's allow it. Yeah, there you go, right? So the SSH works now. Great, we have fixed one of our problem. The other thing which I also want to show you is, let me close this. In the background, you can see Yahoo is not working, right? And we have actually blocked what? Only social media and sports. But why is that not working? And if you see, look at the logs coming out here, you can make sense. Again, this is a deliberate mistake which I did not want to show you guys. If you see here, you get a lot of messages telling that it's something to do with invalid zone, right? So what is happening is, traffic is going from VPN 10 to the global routing table, or VPN 0, right? And we have put our URL filtering policy, yes, on the VPN 0 and 10, but we haven't bypassed it, correct? We haven't bypassed the firewall policy, correct, for the VPN 10, and that's something which is needed, otherwise it would not work. So let's come back again. So security, and click on edit. Let's come to the policy summary. There is a small button here, right, which says bypass firewall policy, right? So all we have to do is click on that, and yeah, the rest all looks fine. There's also a section here if you want to send the logs to a syslog server. If you want, you can do that. You can also probably, there's another thing called failure mode, right? In case the security engine fails, in that case, do you want all the connections to go through, or you want everything to be kind of shut down, right? This is what decides that. So in the failure mode of the security engine, in our case, we have kept it open, so there won't be any inspection, there won't be any firewalling happening, right? There you go. Let's save that and configure this, and I'll be back once this is done. Alright, so now the policy has been pushed. We are back on our configuration or our VM, actually the Windows VM, and you can see the Yahoo has already loaded, right? We can actually try it once again if you want. So I'm going to click on Yahoo search and say it's able to reach the internet. But at the same time, let's see if we can connect to, say, Twitter, right? Twitter.com. Let's see, Twitter.com, and there you go. See, it is not going through, right? Let's try Facebook, and that also fails, right? Social media sites are not working. Maybe YouTube might work. Let's try YouTube. Let's try that. Yes, see, YouTube is loading up, right? So our policies are perfectly working. The ones which we wanted to deny are getting denied, and that's good. Where do you see all this information on the so there in vManage there is obviously a section called security which has been put up, right? So we can actually have a look at that as well. You can see some information. You can see the social network and all of that, the URL filtering showing up and all of this. The firewalling, maybe I think it will take a bit of time, or I think there's a small dot here on the right hand side which is showing that there are some packets, right? But the other place where you can look at is you can go to the monitor section, come to the network, right? Click on your device which is BR3 and come to the section called security, right? Security monitoring, and here you can see again, you know, you can probably go to the firewalling section and there you go, right? So you have the information. So this is the policy which we put, or this is actually an older policy which I was trying. So I think our latest information is yet to come, right? It takes a bit of time for the information to show up here on the dashboard. But yeah, that's the firewalling information. And if you want the URL filtering, you can again go to that section. Again, I don't probably, let's increase the timeline to probably show you some older information. There you go, right? So this is the older information from one of my testing earlier. So you can see that information like the social network, the sessions are getting blocked and so on, right? It'll take a bit of minutes, so have patience. Once you run the policies, once you've generated some data, probably wait for like few minutes and then the data will start appearing here. Great, so we have explored two interesting security use cases. Let's explore the rest now. Let's again go back to our security, right? Either I can add a new policy or I can probably edit this. Let's try that. So let's go here and let's start with the second one, IPS, right? Intrusion prevention, right? IPS, you can actually do, I think you can also do intrusion detection, but yeah, let's explore. So what we'll do is we'll say create new. Okay, so we're adding a new policy here, and you'll have to obviously put the VPN, right? What are you trying to protect? We're trying to protect the VPN 10, so let's save that. So you mention the VPN name, and then you can add the policy name. I can just say IPS, right? That's fine, or IPS policy. Then you have a section which talks about the security set, right? Do you want it to be balanced? Do you want connectivity, or do you want security? So these are three levels of the IPS, right? So you would probably find the same thing in Firepower as well. If you go with the balanced, you will basically get a mix of, there'll be a good balance between connectivity and security. But when you go to security, what will happen is you'll have more number of IPS rules or signatures getting applied, right? In connectivity, obviously, you'll have less number of security rules being applied. So I'm going to go with like the most restrictive one, which is security. Great. And then what I can also show you is if you click on the small, information dialog shows up here, tells you what are the various, signatures which are going to be imported or which are going to be applied, right? You have malware, you have CMC, exploit kits, and all of that. Cool. So, and then the inspection mode, right? You can do detection or you can do protection, right? So if you're putting protection, it becomes an IPS, right? And then you have advanced. You can put some whitelist if you want. You have the alert levels, right? What do you want to be alerted? So you can add that. Great. So once you're done with all of that, you can click on save. Okay. So, and we are going to obviously save policy changes, or let's probably go to the summary. Is there anything else to be done? Nothing, right? So let's go and click on save policy changes, and this will obviously go and apply the IPS related settings on the box. Okay. I don't have to attach the policy again because we have already attached it, right? While that is doing that, let me also show you one more thing, one more very important thing, right? So if you go to administration and go to settings, in the settings you will basically have a section called IPS signature update, right? You see a small section, yeah. So this is very important, right? Because when it comes to IPS, you want to be on, it can be only very effective if the rules are very new and latest. So the snort rules which it uses in the background, they have to be latest. So what you can do is you can click on edit here, and I have already put my credentials, but otherwise, right, if you haven't, what you can do is you can enable it, right, the update, and you can put your CCO credentials, and the vManage will automatically download the IPS signatures from the Cisco cloud, right? You can set your time as well, every 1 hour, 2 hours. Because it's a lab, I've set it to be 5 minutes, and that's what you see here. Okay, so that's one important thing. Okay, now let's see if a policy got pushed. I think it got pushed. So maybe we can log into our box. Actually, one more thing, right? As soon as you do this IPS signature update, the vManage will start downloading it, and maybe we can actually have a look at that. Let me get into the vManage and show you that if possible. Let me disconnect and connect it again. Give me a second. All right. So that's all right. So we are inside vManage, and to look at that, you should actually get into the vShell, right? And if you get into the file called var log, and there should be a file messages, right? And here probably you can maybe grep this, because otherwise you will probably get a lot of logs. My vManage has been running for a few days, so I'll probably end up getting a lot of logs, right? So let me just put something like UTD, maybe that might help. You can see it's trying to load some messages. Right, okay, even that was quite a lot, but let's try. Yeah, so typically this is what you need to get. In my case, looks like it is showing the snort signature download failed, maybe because it already has downloaded the version, or maybe the CCO credentials, I need to probably update it. But anyway, I already have the latest version, so I don't really need this one. So that being said, so now the policy has been pushed. I think we should be able to get to our BR3 and verify certain things. Admin, right? So we are in here. I think a couple of commands which you can check is show UTD, maybe engine standard status. Right? You can see it's all green, and you can see the current signature packages. This one, you can see this is the one which I was showing you, the 9.16. I think that is what it was trying to download. There you go, right? We already have it within our vManage, so maybe because of that it is not trying to download it anymore. But anyways, the vManage is the one which will push all this, the latest signature pack onto my UTD firewall, and you can see the engine is running green, which is good. The latest, it has recently downloaded it and seems to be fine, right? Cool. So that's what you see there. And I mean, for IPS, typically what you can do is, if you're running it in a safe environment, maybe you could trigger a IPS alert from your VM, and you could try that. I'm not going to try that because it would probably set up some alarms in my data center. So but yeah, if you want to try, you could probably go to them safe anti-malware websites and probably download some malware samples, and that should kind of trigger certain alerts in your vManage, and you should be able to see that actually working, right? But this is pretty much what you can do with IPS. You just go to your vManage and you enable the policy which we just now saw, and you can also verify on the device that you're able to see the latest signatures being downloaded. All right, let's add one more use case to our already growing security policy. Let's come back to security. Let's click on edit. So what we have done firewall, we have done intrusion prevention, we have done URL filtering. Next is, let's get to the AMP, right? So let's create a new one. So AMP, you guys know, right? I mean, AMP and threat grid, they like work together. AMP is basically useful for reputation, for telling you what is the file reputation, right? If you send a file to an AMP engine, it can come back with a come back and tell you if that hash of that file is is that file harmful or not, right? That's what it can do. So there is a tight integration of AMP with SD-WAN as well, and you can see here, you can come down here, add a particular policy name, right? You can just say AMP policy. You can probably allow all the traffic from all the VPNs to go through AMP, or you could probably do it custom as well. Doesn't matter, right? So I'm going to select match all VPN. Maybe you'll have to select the closest AMP cloud, right, so that it can query it to get the reputations. So in our case, I'm in Asia, so I'm going to select APJC. Critical alerts log level, I'm going to select info as well. You can select again based on your this thing, right? File analysis. So if you select this, what you can do is not just do file reputation, but at the same time you can do sandboxing, right, or file analysis. The file will basically send to the threat grid cloud, and there the file will be run to see if it is a harmful file, right? Here also you have to select the cloud region. Once you select the cloud region, it will ask you to provide an API key, right? I don't have an active subscription of threat grid right now, so I'll not be able to provide this. And then you can also select the file types as well, what type of files you want to be analyzed. I will disable file analysis for now, but that's mainly that. And we'll go and click on save, and let's get the policy activated. Alright, so looks like the configuration has gone through. We can quickly go back and check on our device. There's actually one interesting command which you can do is show SD-WAN. I think show SD-WAN, if I'm not wrong, it is let me just check. I think I've forgotten the command. Yeah, so it's show SD-WAN UTD file reputation, right? That's the command. And when you run that, you can basically use this for troubleshooting. You can see that the file reputation version is running, and it is also connected to AMP cloud, which is good, right? Because this is now connected. Now whenever I'll not be able to do this, because again, like I said, I don't want to download any malware. But if you are running it in a safe environment, maybe you can download a malware and you should be able to see it here. How would you see it? You could probably do something like show UTD engine standard and cache file inspection. I think file inspection detail, if I'm not wrong, right? So there you go, right? So if you have a file which is actually a malware, and the engine tries to find the reputation of it, then you'll actually see that in the output of this command, right? In my case, I really don't have anything, so I think we are good. All right, so the last use case we will explore is the umbrella use case, right? The DNS security, right? Now for DNS security, let's again come to the security section. See, there are custom options here, and we have something called as umbrella registration, right? So here you can see basically I have already provided my token, but I'll show you where you can get this token, right? So you can get into your umbrella login as well, right? If you have umbrella account, and if you have enabled umbrella for your organization, you can log into your umbrella and you can get into admin, and you'll basically have a section called API keys, right? Obviously you'll not be able to use my API key because I'll obviously delete it once I finish this video. But what you can do is probably click on, because I already have it, I can only refresh it. I can just disable this and create a new one. But the first time when you come here, you can create the first API key, right? So this is my API key. You take the API key and you can put it on the registration token section. And once that is done, your SD-WAN system will be integrated with umbrella, right? So now coming back here, what is the policy you would need, right? So let's do that first, and then we'll do some configuration on the umbrella side as well. So let's go here and let's say edit, right? Let's come to the umbrella one, right, or the DNS security. Let's add a new policy. Let's call this as DNS policy. Okay. So there you can see it's again going to ask you the VPNs. I'm going to select my VPN, which is my okay, so I'm going to say custom VPN configuration. I'm going to say 10 here because that's the VPN which I want. So what this is going to do is, once you configure the DNS policy, the VH router, or in this case the CH, right, basically the SD-WAN edge will divert all the DNS requests, right, from the actual DNS server to umbrella DNS servers, and that's how all the policies which are defined on umbrella cloud will get applied. So that's what this is telling. We are basically telling that all the traffic coming from VPN 10, all the DNS traffic, send it to umbrella, right? You can also enable local domain bypass, which means that if there are some requests going for internal domain, servers in your local domain, then you can bypass those. Like those requests will not be sent to your umbrella, rather they'll be sent to your local DNS server, right? There you go, save. And once that is done, anything else, all of this you can keep it as is. If you want the local domain bypass, you can mention it in the advanced section DNS script, right? So this is a feature. Basically all the DNS requests which are coming from VPN 10 will carry certain information all the way to the umbrella cloud, and because of that you can define some policies on the umbrella cloud and act on them, right? So we'll enable this and we'll keep them. I'm gonna say save and enable this, right? So let's wait for this policy to get applied, and before it gets applied, let's also have a look at, so while it is getting applied, let's see what's happening on our deployments. Let's come to network devices. There is nothing yet. Let's wait for the policy to go through. Alright, so you see now the device BR3 VPN 10 is showing up here, right? So it automatically went and connected to the umbrella cloud, right? And that was possible because we integrated our API key, right? So that's interesting. So that means our policy has gone through. You can see the policy has gone through and it has gone and registered over here. Great. It's still telling offline, which means that it might take a little bit of time for the policies to get acted. But that being said, let's create a new policy, right? By the time we might get the device online, or basically we might get the deployment online, right? So to create a policy, you can actually go back and look at my detailed videos on umbrella, but here we are going to create a very basic DNS policy. So let's come to the policy section. Let's say DNS policies. All right. And let's create a new one. So this is the default policy, but I want a new one, so I'm going to create a new one. Let's keep all of this as is. Let's keep everything default. I don't intend to change anything. Let's keep this default. Let's go next. And here, right, so this is the place. So in the network devices, now you can actually select your BR3 VPN 10, right? And I'm going to click next. And here, let's keep everything common. Let's keep everything as is. That's fine. Let's go and create a custom block list, right? And what I want to block, remember, as of now, I was able to access the gambling websites, correct? So I can do casino.com, if I'm not wrong. That works. Let's see if it works. Yeah, there you go, right? So it is working. So what I want to do is I want to block that. So I don't want people to use gambling websites while on the network, right? That's my use case. So I'm going to select categories, content categories, and there is a section here called gambling. There you go, right? Which is selected already. Let me unselect and select it again. Good. So that's my custom list. And all of this, let's not do anything here. Keep all the global block list, everything, because I don't really have a use case for that yet. I mean, you can do it if you want, but in my case, I just want a very basic, I'm going to use the default block page as well, and go ahead, go next. Right, probably looks good. Let's save this. Again, you can read a lot about the integration about umbrella and SD-WAN over here. There's actually a much detailed way to design it, and there are a few prerequisites which you need to keep in mind, but I'll just keep that as a reference material for you to go through. Since I'm doing a quick demo here, I don't intend to show you that. So I've created a new policy. Probably I've not given it a name, so it just picked up. Maybe let me just change the name, right? let's change this to new DNS policy or whatever. Let's change that. New DNS policy. Great. So that's good. So I'm going to save that. But once you create the policy, the next thing you gotta do is you need to attach this policy to your oh, it's already attached, right? It's already applied, so that's good. You can actually go to your deployment, you can go to your network devices, and it's still offline, but you see you have your new DNS policy over here, right? So let's wait for some time and see if this really comes online or this state changes. Actually, while we wait for the umbrella to come up, what we can also do is, let me quickly take you through one more policy which we have over here, right? So actually, instead of creating it here, let me actually show it to you right from here, right? So you can actually create policies from here as well. This is the TLS SSL decryption policy, right? That was the only one which we had not explored. Looks like you can't create it from here, can you? Interesting. Okay. So probably let's go back here. Let me just show it to you how you create it. So I'm gonna say edit, right? And you can go to TLS. This is now that definitely is a very good use case for this. I personally don't use it much, but let me tell you, right, what is the use of this? So of late, most of our applications are obviously HTTPS, right? So they all use TLS and SSL layer of security. So when you have that layer of security, it's very difficult for some of our other policies to work, especially which one? The IPS, right? Or the URL filtering, or basically the AMP, right? Some of these policies will not work because right from the client, all the traffic will get encrypted, right? So the only other option is to kind of do some decryption on the edge device, right? Or on this particular firewall, do some decryption and then apply the policy, right? That sounds like a very fair point, right? So with TLS SSL decryption, as of today, I don't think you can do a policy as such. Well, all you can do is you can enable decryption, and then the other policies which you see here, right, the AMP and the URL filtering and IPS, they can use that decrypted traffic and then kind of do much better policing, right? Now to add it, pretty simple, right? You can just add a policy. Now there are two options here. Either you can use your enterprise CA. So I think as soon as you enable this SSL decryption, it will give you it's not giving me an option to change it. Let me see, one sec. Yeah, all right. So it's basically telling me that the CA authority configuration has been completed already. So I've already done this before, but if you have not done this, this is the first time you're coming to this particular page, all you have to do is when you enable the SSL decryption, you'll get an option either here to either use your CA authority, or you can use your vManage as a CA authority as well, right? You can configure that. So you'll get a dialog box to do that the first time when you come here. But once you do that, it's you see here the CA authority information is shown here a bit, I guess. Okay, that's not the case. That's fine. Actually, I think they need to have a way to delete the old CA configuration. Maybe that's missing. That's fine. So yeah, once you do your certificate authority configuration, all you have to do is create the rules here, right? You can basically create as simple as the rules which we created earlier, right? You can select what traffic from which VPNs and which ports and going to what destination you want to be encrypted, right? To be decrypted or not decrypted, because you don't really want all the traffic to be decrypted, right? That would basically take up all the resources of your router. So you would want to selectively decrypt it. Only the traffic which is needed to be decrypted, you could probably add a rule here and you can decrypt it, right? We are not gonna set this up because no use case for me personally as of now, but yeah, you guys can check it out. And like I said, the first time when you come here, you will have to set up your CA, because for doing a SSL decryption, you need to because your endpoints should trust the proxy, right? Because the vManage will, or the VH will actually act as a proxy. So your endpoint should trust the SD-WAN device as the proxy. So as a result, you will have to do a bit of certificate configuration there. But once you do that, the decryption will start, and once decryption happens, all the other policies, right, which we talked about earlier, will be able to use the decrypted traffic and then add the subsequent policies. Alright, so coming to the umbrella, I think it's still taking a bit of time. Let's probably refresh it one last time. If not, I'll just show you the data from my test case earlier from the previous to the recording. Yeah, it's still offline. It will take a bit of time. Maybe sometimes, I think it took 30 minutes or 1 hour for me last time when I enabled it. But not to worry, what we can do is let's get to the policies, right? So that's the good thing about umbrella, right? You can test your policies. So what you can do is you can come down to the DNS policy and you can do policy tester, provide the identity. In our case, it is going to be BR3, and then provide the destination, which is www.casino.com, right? And I'm going to run the test. So there you go. It's telling destination was blocked due to category settings. So that's what is expected, right? Great. I can also show you probably if we go to the reporting section, I can actually go back to reporting section and let's see, do we have activity search, right? So in the activity search, let's probably see what was blocked. Let's click on blocked, and we should actually see, there you go, right? You can see in the past, I think this is a little bit older time, you can see in the afternoon, it's around 8 now, but in the afternoon when I ran the same policies, I was able to, you can see that from the BR3 VPN 10, traffic going to Cisco, traffic going to casino.com, we can see it is getting blocked, right, as expected. Perfect. Yeah, so it will take a bit of time for the identity to actually get active and online over here, so have patience. But once that works, you should have your DNS working as well. So we explored literally everything, all the policies which we have on the security side of things. So do check out and probably write your own complex policies as well to block some applications and kind of explore more on the same topic. I'll provide you the documentation link, what I referred for this video. And this will actually serve as a basis for what people have been talking about, SASE, right? Secure access and security. So having consistent networking and security policies everywhere. So that's this particular topic will serve as a basis for that. And this is a very, very good use case of SD-WAN as well, right? So hope you guys liked it. And thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one. Bye.